This is exciting. I'm in a 968 Porsche, and handbrake on the left, by the way. And we're at Speedwork in Nyack, and I'm allowed to drive this car today. I've driven quite a few 944s, and I've owned 944 Turbo S's, and one of them drove very, very well with 300,000 miles on the clock. These cars are very durable. A little known fact that Porsches, when they're well taken care of and well driven, are very durable cars. This one has 130,000 miles on the clock, which is probably not far off the mark, but we know the odometer stopped working recently. So, it may be as much as 135,000 miles, 140,000 miles. But this is a car that you can buy on condition instead of worrying about the mileage. The chassis are fully galvanized, as are the bodies. They hold up very well in all weather. And they're very durable in general, as Porsches are from this era, this being in 1993. The car is warming up right now. We're going to be doing a slow, easy drive and get some impressions. Already, as soon as you get in this car, you know whether it fits you. And for me, the 968 fits very well, just like the 944 did. It's really an evolution of the 944, and there's really no difference in terms of fit. It feels, to someone that's been in a later 944, very similar, and it's exceedingly comfortable. You sit in the car instead of on top of the car, which is very much a Porsche trait. In a Porsche, you sit inside the vehicle, you feel like you're in a proper cockpit. You feel secure. And like the 944, it has a big 4-cylinder engine. In this case, it's a 3-liter 4, 16-valve engine. And I'm just going to take my time going down a fairly straight road, low speed, letting the transmission warm up, or the transaxle in this case. Motor in the front, gearbox in the back. One thing I'm noticing right now is just a small thing, is I'm adjusting the rearview mirror, and it's sort of it's offset to the side a little bit. It's a small thing, but it might need to be reattached in a way that makes more sense. I can see behind me, but I'm missing like a little bit of the driver's side rear view, meaning it's kind of offset to the passenger side a little bit. Probably had the windshield replaced, and possibly this wasn't installed perfectly. Small things. It has an aftermarket Kenwood stereo, as you'd expect in an older car. It's typically not going to have the original stereo. I love stuff like that. This doesn't have it. It has some connectors for USB, and probably for an older iPhone, auxiliary connectors. Car is showing a warning light, and I'm not sure what that's for. It says airbag on the dash and anti-lock, so those might be things that should be remedied. So far, the car is driving well. I'm in second gear right now, and I'm going to go up a little hill, pulling a low RPM, 1500 RPMs, 2000 RPMs. I'm just barely touching the throttle. It's important to do. I like to see how a car drives from low RPM. A lot of times, if there's a hesitation, you're going to notice it when there's reasonable load at lower RPM pulling up a hill. These cars should pull very cleanly at lower RPM. They have a lot of torque, and they have a lot of torque everywhere, and you should be able to use it. You should be able to drive in a relaxed manner in these cars, because while they're capable cars that you can drive very hard, they're also great touring cars, and it should behave like a good touring car, meaning it should be able to pull from low RPM in a relaxed manner getting up to, what was that? 3,000, 3,500 RPM. I just did a 1-2 shift, and the shifter feels like just slightly loose. Like it's not as positive as I hoped for, and it's not uncommon for older shifters in these cars. Even from the factory, they didn't have the most positive change, which is also sort of a Porsche thing. But I just did that 1-2 shift again, and it went fine. So it might be something you need to get used to. It might need new shifter bushings. Again, this is my first drive, so you're getting all my first impressions. I'm going to do it one more time just to see how that 1-2 shift goes. It's nice and quiet. 4,000 RPM. I'm also double declutching. Maybe I'll do that without a double declutch next time to see what the shift is like. It's just habit. A shift like that. I'll do a 2-3 shift without a double declutch. So that was a single clutch. It's smooth. Feels good. This car is very comfortable. The roads we're on right now are not terrible, but they're not terribly smooth either. And there's manhole covers and places where they really shouldn't be, sort of in the middle of the road, and lumps and bumps and things. And we're riding at low speed. And a lot of times, high performance cars at low speed will have a kind of lumpy, fidgety ride, and this car does not have that. So now that I'm used to the shifter going through the gears, it feels pretty good. It might just be that the lockout for reverse isn't really distinct, even though it's up to the left. When I went from first to second, I felt like I could almost get into the lockout gate, but if I just pull the shifter right back, it's fun. Another thing too that I remember, and I'm not going to operate it because apparently it's problematic. The sunroof on this car does have an issue and will remain closed and untested, but I know it has an issue, so it's something to know about this car. Apparently that's not the easiest thing to deal with on these cars, and we're going to leave well enough alone. It does have older tires. I noted walking around the car, which I'll do in the video, that the tires are older. I believe they're dated like 13 and so 2013, and then those might be the rears, and the fronts might even be older. So keep that in mind. I would replace the tires soon. This doesn't have the bigger tire size, so I think there's 16s on this car, which, based on how it's riding right now, it may look cool with 17s, but this car is riding really well on these 16s. So maybe keep the 16s if you can find a good tire in this size. But you can go up to a 17 easily, and the Porsche 17s of this era, like from 993s, also fit this car. Coupe 2s fit this car. So you have lots of wheel options, and there are lots of replica wheels that are inexpensive. You don't have to go far to find good wheels for this car. We're idling, the car is warm, and you feel the vibration through the shifter in this, like you would in a 350Z, for instance. The motor is always a presence. It doesn't disappear in this car, which is good to know, and it has a lot of character. It has character unlike few motors. So what we're doing now is we're going to head to some twisty bits, which are short-lived, but it will be a little exercise to chassis. Could be some older sway bar links, potentially an older control arm bushing, but it doesn't feel bad. I'm noticing over some bumps there's like the slightest of looseness, maybe. It has torque everywhere. You can drive this thing as you can drive this car in as relaxed a manner as you'd like. I don't think you have to hustle this car along to enjoy it. I just like being in this car right now. Another hill start. Let's see how smoothly we can do that. Yeah, it's a nice car. Does the horn work? Horn works. That's good. Little stuff. I want to drive this car all day already. I'm convinced I want to spend a bunch of time in this car, which is good. It's a good feeling to have when you first get into a car. When I was younger and I had my 944 Turbo S, the last 944 I had, I was in my early 20s, and I drove very aggressively all the time, and the car never put a foot wrong. And it was almost unexciting to me for that reason. Where now I'm more mature, 15 years later, and I can drive a car more slowly and enjoy it. And this is a car that entices you at low speed, which is good because where we live, there isn't a ton of opportunity to go very fast all the time. So having a car that you can enjoy in a relaxed manner is important. It's a bumpy, twisty road, characteristic of those around us. We're on the back roads right now, and I love it. The car feels good so far. Third gear, I'm just milking the torque, seeing what it drives like without getting too busy with the shifter. We're in fourth gear, 50 miles an hour, not going terribly fast. The heel and toe is perfect in this car. The brakes feel good. Not working them very hard, but they feel nice. I love this car. Wow. I suggest if you're curious about 968s, go drive one. Go drive a 968. Go drive the 968 Coupe. I don't know anything about the convertibles, but this is a really good drive. But this is on my list now. This is on my list. This is better than my 944 Turbo S. I just like the character of the car a lot. It's more refined. This particular 968, the steering feels very positive. It's just not, it's not like newer performance cars where they just sort of dart into the corner, which is preferred for me. I don't really like that darty behavior. This car doesn't have the fastest steering. It's nice at this speed. I'm not driving the car terribly hard, but I'm enjoying the car. Revving it a bit more, now the car is warmed up, going about 4,000 RPM. Wow, high RPM. This motor feels like a turbine. It actually has something of the characteristic of the 5-cylinder Audi engines. See how on this really tight road, we're barely getting above 30 miles an hour. Second gear, the steering feels a little slow for a really tight road like this. Like this car wants more open sweeping corners, like 40 and 50 miles an hour and above, but it still feels good. Brakes feel good. It wants more time to take a set in a corner. So I'm in third gear right now, by the way, and again, milking the torque, just riding the wave of torque at 2,000 RPMs and above, and it likes that. You can just leave it in third gear. There's no particular reason why you rev it out in second gear. You're working harder than you need to in this car.